When we left off, Ty was recovering from his back surgery, and we were busy gathering materials and planning for Makara's refit.
The cardboard you see back behind me here is templates for down below. Alright, a little tour of where we're at. It's been a while since we've gone over things. So those templates are going to be for back here. So for these side walls up here where the port lights are, they're going to be replaced. Those are templates that Hillary made out of some cardboard, and we're going to replace that with a nice ply, and then we're going to paint that here. So we have paint for that. And then you can see the headline is still all down. That's a in progress project. Most of it's down. It's got to be tidied up a little bit more. And then there's going to be new furring strips that we're going to put on there. So we have these ones aren't treated, but we've done some penetrating epoxy. Now the purpose of these is they'll go up here. They'll epoxy right up here onto the hull itself, or the cabin top in this case. And that will be, insulation will go in between the little gaps to fill it. And then we'll put our headliner over the top of it. Alright, time to check out the V-berth because it looks so different now. You can probably hear the echo. Since we've emptied it out, it looks brilliant. So those furring strips will also go, we're going to replace some of these. They'll go up here on the hull. So that'll flex in there and glue. And then we're going to put a bunk in up here. Don't look at me, I'm hideous.
What happened?
Something fell on my head. Testing, we've been playing around with lots of different things and testing them, and we had the diesel heater, which we've been carrying around on Verona for
a long time.
2 years almost now.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah, and so we're playing with that, I was about to clean out the fuel line, and I had a chimney stacked on top of it, and we've been testing it, and the chimney, what is it, the deck, basically the deck cover that protects it from the rain and everything fell off the top and hit me a few feet down. I think it sliced my head a bit. Doesn't look too bad on the thing. It's only a little bit of blood. I think it's good.
Yeah.
Should I put this back on?
Back on Makara, the most challenging part about preparing the cabin for the furring strips was cleaning it up. The old wall panels had been cemented in with some sort of thickened epoxy filler, and there was a ton of it stuck to the cabin top and even encasing the wiring. With everything prepped and a list of measurements, we began to fit the furring strips. To start, I held the strip up and marked the places where it made good contact and also any gaps. Then, we added small sections of a high-strength, double-sided acrylic foam tape and epoxy and stuck them to the walls. Using this system, the tape would hold the strip in place while the epoxy set. However, we did utilize some clamps as well to help bend the strips to the shape of the hull. A little bit at the top here and then above the tape. Okay. All this is good, all that's good. There's a hole here by the knot. Okay. And then a little hole to the left of that tape.
Okay. Between those bolts there.
Yep, like that looks good.
There?
Yep.
There we go, this will work.
Depending on what we had to stick them to and the bend needed, for some of the ceiling sections we also used additional supports to ensure proper bonding, leaving us with a little bit of a crazy obstacle course to navigate around.
This we're going to take out maybe this little section.
Well, welcome below decks on Makara. Work in progress. Truly a project boat now. Everything is torn apart and we are hard at work trying to put her back together. So you can see behind me all of these pieces of wood. These are the furring strips. This is what we will attach the headliner to, also trim pieces, And in between that, right now Ty is working on putting some insulation in. We've spent the last several days putting those up. They are epoxied up. These guys started out as 2x4s. My dad ripped them down for us. They're about 1 5/8 inch by about 5/8 inch now. We coated them with penetrating epoxy to seal them, so they should be resistant to any kind of water if we do get any kind of water. To stick those furring strips up to the ceiling, we have been using this really cool tape. It's called VHB tape by 3M. It's this really strong, supposed to be very, very strong tape, double-sided. So we put little sections of that on so we can stick it up to the ceiling, and then we put some epoxy in, so once the epoxy sets, the epoxy is what's holding it, but the tape holds it kind of while the epoxy sets.
I am cutting up insulation of very weird shapes, and this will do a couple of things. It will reduce condensation inside the boat and obviously insulate it for heat and cool, is the hope anyway. This is the best insulation we could find for this. This is only 1/2 inch thickness here. It's called polyiso. It's like double-sided foil. It's closed cell, and this gives us about an R3.2 technically on this insulation. So hopefully that will help a bit. No, that's how it goes. I knew there was a way that would go. 12 1/8. 12 1/8.
While the boat was totally pulled apart and a mess, we also took the opportunity to do some renovations to the galley. We were not a fan of the large single sink, so we pulled it out with plans to put in a deep double sink. Hey, we removed the sink. This galley originally had 2 separate fridge freezers, with one of them now converted to storage. However, even with an additional top hatch, it was a very large, awkward, and hard to access storage area, which also limited the counter space. Since this was on the same side of the galley as the old sink and we found lots of wet, rotting wood, we made the call to pull up that section of counter and replace it with new ply. What you doing in there?
I want to cut holes in the cupboards.
Cut holes in the cupboard?
We don't know if this is going to work. We think it'll work, but I guess it'll work, right?
Why not?
I don't know why not.
So this is a part of our galley renovation. This little compartment that we are cutting a front door in used to be part of the very, very old original fridge icebox, and this is just kind of a really awkward storage space, so we are going to put a cupboard door in the front of it.
Right here somewhere.
Oh, magic!
We weren't expecting this back here, although it probably makes sense.
Insulates it well.
Well, it was a box, I guess. That was fiberglass. The foam would have been fiberglassed in between this. It would have just been a solid box. So that does make sense. Oh, need to vacuum. Success. That's probably why that stays so cold. That is well insulated. We gotta put some new wiring in today here. put in some furring strips here, which we're going to screw in. We're probably going to router out the galley sink here, or countertop I guess. The sink will go here. We'll be putting a hatch in down there, and then you can see the big cutout here into the old ice box. We're going to put a door in there, and that'll be, what will that be?
A cupboard.
Cupboard. And then we've got our new oven and stove, which Hillary's mum cleaned up extremely nicely. And we did a good job of making it dusty. But it works great. It's the best oven we've had. Everything works on it really good. It's got a broiler. It's in really great shape, so we're going to have to try and keep it that way. Making a little bit of progress. We had a bunch of rain and we didn't get too much in here, it looks like, so that's good news.
After tracing the cutout of the sink, Ty used a circular saw to cut the straight edges, and then a jigsaw for the corners.
Sink.
Hey, good job. With the furring strips all in place and the wall panels insulated, we started to shift our focus to the ceiling, looking forward to putting in headliner and wall panels. But that's our next adventure. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please give us a thumbs up and make sure you click the bell to subscribe and get notified of our next installment. Until next time.
Cutting. Cutting. Gonna cut you. I'm gonna cut you good.